and South Africa quickly becomes one of our largest bases of operations and largest collection of employees globally will now be here in the Western Cape.
Goodness me.
So we're hoping to borrow some of the same strategies that we've used in marketing multiple varieties of new seedless table grapes under common brands like Ruby Rush and Midnight Beauty and Autumn Crisp and Epic Crisp, and to deploy similar strategies with citrus and mangoes, and to consummate that transaction in an effort to bring two leaders together in the genetics world, the citrus and subtropical expertise of Biogold and the deciduous fruit capabilities and reputation of Sunworld over the course of the last 35 years.
Good afternoon, David. It's so nice of you to join us. We really appreciate it. And you've come a long way
from a very warm California to a very cold Cape.
Yes. And
did they tell you to pack adequately?
They did. I left 45 degrees in Southern California and I landed here, and it's been a little frosty ever since.
Yeah, and for the people from the States that might be listening, that's 105.
Yeah, it was 115 in the southeastern part of California yesterday.
Well, welcome to wintry South Africa.
Thank you.
And it's great to be back.
It's wonderful to have you here and to meet you. And we understand that you're here for quite a momentous occasion. Please introduce yourself and what you do and where you're from.
Sure.
And tell us a little about what you're doing here today.
My name is David Marguleas, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Sunworld International, which is a breeder and intellectual property rights owner of a number of fruit crops that we manage from our own breeding program in Central California, and that we have the opportunity to share with growers around the world. And I'm in South Africa this week to consummate a transaction that we began about a year ago with the Biogold Group and the A&B Group in particular, which owns Biogold, and to consummate that transaction in an effort to bring two leaders together in the genetics world, the citrus and subtropical expertise of Biogold and the deciduous fruit capabilities and reputation of Sunworld over the course of the last 35, which ideally brings these two genetics powerhouses together and offers fruit producers around the world a more comprehensive collection of new genetics and innovation.
Wow.
It's incredibly exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And that Sunworld will be adding these two big new arms, and you said there were also some smaller crops that will also be coming along with Biogold.
Yes, Biogold has been working with public and private breeders around the world for many years. Most of the leading citrus and subtropical crop breeders in both the public and private sector have relied on Biogold to help them commercialize and introduce their crops and their varieties to fruit growers around the world. The crops that they've been most proficient in and had a lot of success with are easy peel mandarins and a number of other citrus crops, seedless lemons and grapefruit and some oranges and other specialty citrus, as well as a line of mangoes and avocados, as well as macadamia nuts and a few other secondary crops.
I can imagine the offices in California are now, where are we need hands on deck to help with all of these new things.
We do, although we're envisioning having a nice base of operations here. The mango breeding program will remain here. It is the world's largest mango breeding program and the largest collection of mango germplasm globally. So we're thrilled to integrate that with our own mango breeding efforts in Central California. The essence of the citrus and subtropical business will remain here. And South Africa quickly becomes one of our largest bases of operations and largest collection of employees globally will now be here in the West.
Goodness me. That's
South
fantastic.
Africa is not new to us. We first set up shop here in 2001, and opened an office in Paarl, and have had a number of locations that we've had our offices in the Paarl and Wellington area, and now we're in the process of identifying a nice office space to combine our local team of agronomists and licensing professionals and the Biogold team here in Stellenbosch as well.
Yeah, we've done previous podcasts with Danae, and we've done, one of them was particularly about the branding that went in behind Autumn Crisp, which
Yes.
was fascinating. Is this something that you're planning for some of these new varieties coming in?
We think there's an opportunity to consolidate and minimize some of the confusion at retail with the proliferation of fruit varieties that have been introduced over the years. I think the good news is that the consumer and retailers globally now have plenty of choices of wonderful new fresh fruit varieties that they can merchandise and promote. I think we can make it easier for the industry to understand the benefits of those varieties if we can do a smarter job in helping retailers to position them, and that involves a more strategic branding approach than perhaps we've all enjoyed in the past.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to borrow some of the same strategies that we've used in marketing multiple varieties of new seedless table grapes under common brands like Ruby Rush and Midnight Beauty and Autumn Crisp and Epic Crisp, and to deploy similar strategies with citrus and mangoes. And with our new friends in the Biogold group, we're hoping to enlist their help in developing those strategies as well.
I believe the US is quite a big potential mango market.
The U.S. has a significant Hispanic population, and mangoes are a very popular crop in most of the United States. Mexico is not only one of the largest producers of mangoes, but certainly by far the largest supplier of mangoes to the United States. We have a very early stage mango breeding program of our own in California, and a variety that we acquired about a year and a half ago called Cancun that we're excited about, and is now in distribution to many of the countries where we have a presence currently. And that, coupled with this immense collection of mangoes from the Limpopo region and this ongoing mango breeding program of Biogold's, that promises to position us as sort of the preeminent mango supplier globally.
Wow.
I was just thinking about you strategically about this acquisition, that you're from California, very similar latitude to where we are in South Africa, Cape Town, South Africa, and it is counter season, so you have opportunity to be developing these things year round. And I mean, you could have been buying a company in the Northern Hemisphere, but because this is Southern Hemisphere, you're literally getting summer year round to be growing things and testing things, and they really complement each other. As you say, you've got all the deciduous fruit, and this is citrus and everything else. So that's really incredible. It's like a match made in heaven, actually.
It really is, yeah. Especially if you think about the fact that we had identified mangoes, citrus, and avocados as three really important crops to focus on. As I mentioned earlier, the fact that all three of those crops are really underserved in the public and private sector research community. There's some phenomenal breeders out there of mango, citrus, and avocado. But we felt that the industry would benefit from additional investment and a bigger commitment on the part of Sunworld in particular to expand the traits and characteristics that those crops offer. I think the other reason we identified those three crops is they're all billion-dollar plus opportunities globally. And they also happen to be important crops in many of the 15 countries where Sunworld currently has a presence. So there's all kinds of wonderful synergies here with our current licensees and customers, along with the Biogold clientele as well.
Incredible. It's hugely exciting. And from a South African perspective, to have a company like yours investing in a South African-based company, that's extremely good news for us.
That's actually going to be a question of mine,
Yes.
maybe a little bit later down, but since we are there, you mentioned it now.
You know, South Africa has really battled with
Yeah.
investment and with our image and where we're going. So it's a huge vote of confidence in South Africa.
Yeah, and if you would say to other international companies that might be looking at, because there's always this political thing, be it from wherever, politics always influence things. Is South Africa a viable country to invest in?
Most definitely. I mean, we've been enthusiastic about South Africa from the late 1990s when we introduced a couple of our early table grape varieties. The Sugar One grape in particular was one of our first entry points into the Western Cape and the Northern Cape in the late 90s. We opened our office here in 2001 and haven't looked back. It was our first international office that we opened, and we've used the popularity of our table grape breeding program to establish some really wonderful relationships with table grape growers and exporters here, which laid the groundwork for a lot of the broader licensing work that we've done in South America and in the Middle East, in Europe and Australia and Israel, and then certainly in North America, where we have an active licensing business now in California and in Mexico.
Wow.
There's so many questions. So this is hugely exciting. And I mean, I suppose there's going to be a lot closer cooperation between the Biogold team and Sunworld, as you mentioned. And there will also be some sort of cross-pollination, I would imagine.
Yes, we're envisioning the Biogold research team and the Sunworld research teams doing a lot of cross-functional work, a lot of collaboration. They have offices in many of the same countries and regions that we do. And I think the combined team of agronomists and licensing personnel and legal staff bodes well for not only for us as a business, but for our clients around the world as well.
Yes, and the fruit crops we've been talking about that Biogold has are largely slightly warmer climate crops. So I would imagine that a lot of the stuff is going to be happening in the lower latitudes, or I think you call it lower, closer to the equator. So there's probably going to be a lot of development.
Specialty citrus is typically grown in many of the same regions as table grapes and stone fruit, so we have that opportunity to build on. And avocados are increasingly being planted now, as you know, in many places around the world that also happen to grow table grapes. And then mangoes increasingly are also grown in places where there's considerable overlap with the table grape industry. So you look at countries like Mexico and Brazil and Peru, there are very healthy mango industries there, and they're on the hunt for better tasting mangoes that can be harvested earlier in the season, later in the season, with thinner seeds and less fibrous content, better blush characteristics, and certainly improved flavor profiles. So we're thrilled to be involved in the mango industry from a genetic standpoint. We've farmed and packed and marketed mangoes before as a company, as well as citrus. So to integrate the genetics of these really popular crops is a real privilege, and we're excited about the opportunity to do so.
It's incredible when you go and look at how these varieties have improved and been improved over the last 30 and 40 years. If you took an average consumer who doesn't know anything about farming or about genetics, and you showed them what these types of fruit looked like 40 and 50 years ago versus what they're being offered today,
absolutely.
I think a lot of people have no idea.
Yeah, a lot of people think they're GMO or...
Yeah, but that's the word that everybody just...
All of our breeding is, of course, conventionally done. We take parents of two different
Like the birds and bees.
two different varieties that have desirable traits. We make a cross, and then we hope for the best that
Yes.
the many hundreds of offspring that come from that cross have some combination of traits that are more desirable than the parents themselves.
And one has to be patient because it all takes a
Very
long
patient,
time.
yes.
But it's remarkable when you see the results. And congratulations! This is a hugely exciting venture, and we will follow with great interest.
California's got a big citrus industry.
It does.
Have you guys put out feelers on the ground in California as to what would the reception be from the South African varieties that might be coming there?
Well, the South African varieties are in California.
Okay.
So Biogold has a very significant presence with the California citrus industry.
Okay.
They work closely with most of the major California citrus growers and packers and marketers, as they do in South America and certainly here in South Africa as well. It just so happens that many of those large citrus companies are also large Sunworld grape licensees. So we think there's some real opportunities here to offer our customers a lot more value in the relationship.
Wow. Okay, so next question. You've almost got the whole fruit basket. When are you going to get apples and pears?
We've grown apples and pears as a company and marketed them over the years, but right now I think we've got our plate pretty full with table grapes and stone fruit.
It's a big basket.
Yes.
That's very, very exciting. And really is wishing you the best of luck, and we
Thank you.
really, really hope it goes well, and we hope that our fellow South Africans get on really well with your team, and we really hope that it's a great success.
Yeah, you're going to have to learn to speak Afrikaans quite quickly, going up into Limpopo
I
to visit.
have something to tell you, which I think you might find amusing. You spoke about that Sunworld's first international office was in South Africa. I've been an agricultural journalist for more than 2 decades and been writing about table grapes for a very long time. And I remember Johan Jooster, and most of his calls to me or messages to me were, you forgot to put the trademark at the end, because the Sunworld was the very first grapes that came to South Africa that were trademarked. So it was the first
Superior
the first
Seedless.
ones. That's right,
Yes.
Superior Seedless.
It was known
I would get the call. Where is the trademark symbol at the
I'm
end?
having lunch with him on Friday, so I'll give him your regards.
Please do, because where is he these days?
He's in Fleurs Bay
Okay.
and on the Garden Route,
Lovely.
and is enjoying his retirement. He retired from Sunworld a number of years ago.
Okay.
It was his third attempt at retirement with us, and was really instrumental in helping us build our business globally.
Yes, I'm aware of that. And then I have it's a specific question. The Karakara, it's a red flesh orange.
Yes.
I know that there are two that I know of in the Biogold
Portfolio.
portfolio. There is the Kirkwood Red, I think it's called, and the Ruby Valencia. This is an interesting kind of subcategory. Is anything happening?
And it's
there?
something that's come across our path
Yes, it's come
quite
across our
significantly
path.
in the last month.
Yeah, we've been looking at the red flesh and higher pigmentation characteristics of a number of crops. And in the citrus category, we think it has the same kind of potential that it has in some of the other crops where we've bred the more intense red flesh, which brings with it not only greater bricks and eating quality and different flavor profiles, but also the antioxidants that typically come with the deep red and purple colors in fresh fruit. The Black Diamond line of plums is our signature line, and it has deep, intense red interior flesh and black skin. Many of those Black Diamond line plums are grown here in South Africa, in the Western Cape. And we think that the same type of opportunity exists in introducing a line of red pigmented specialty citrus as well. And we're aware of the fact that Biogold represents a number of breeders that have been working hard on introducing that trait to specialty citrus.
It could be a very exciting something new from the orange line.
And in coming from a company like Sunworld in terms of marketing it to the industry? Because as we heard recently, the European market said the orange must be orange, mustn't be pink. So with the marketing and branding that you guys can put behind something like that, it could
grow into something very special.
Yes.
So there's lots of work to do.
There is, yeah. We've got a great team here at Biogold, and certainly the complement of the Sunworld team here, and the broader group back in California. I think they're really excited about helping to promote the Biogold line and the Sunworld line together, and to offer growers a really wonderful selection of new fresh fruit varieties.
Is it going to be a rebrand in South Africa, or is it going to stay Biogold?
I think for the time being, we want to honor the Biogold and Citrogold brands and the brand equity that A&B has built up in both of those brands, and to ensure that the grower community continues to see Biogold and Citrogold as vibrant suppliers of genetics. I think there's some opportunities to start to utilize the Sunworld brand more extensively across other crops. But I think for the time being, we're really excited about honoring the legacy of Citrogold and Biogold here, and don't foresee any immediate changes.
Wow. Okay.
Wonderful.
So,
Was anything else?
the last question from mine, which I always like to ask people, is that if you meet a group of new people that do not know who you are and what you do, we always use the analogy around the braai, which probably would be a barbecue in the States. What do you tell people you do? In short, like if you're going around, hi, my name is so-and-so, and what do you do? I'm a doctor. How do you tell people what it is that you do? Because it's quite a very interesting line.
Well, for many years, I told people I was a fruit peddler in the fruit business, which I was. My grandfather started out in the produce business about 100 years ago. My father was in the produce business, and I followed them. I think the departure that we took, the left turn that we took a few years ago into the genetics and technology part of the business was fascinating. If somebody were to have told me that Sunworld, which had 500 or 600 employees a number of years ago, and many thousands of hectares of farmland in California, that we would have a dozen or so PhDs working and toiling away to develop new varieties and to deploy new technologies, I would have questioned their sanity. But I think in describing what we do today, we're really proud of the fact that we bring delight to consumers. We create more sustainable businesses for growers globally, enabling them to provide differentiated products to their main supermarket customers. At the same time, we create a lot of career opportunities for young people looking to get into a really healthy and sustainable business.
And the wrap-up question, you've got that?
We have a tradition with our podcast.
Yes.
And that is that we ask the previous person to leave us with a question for the next person, and it can be anything.
Okay.
And the question we have for you is, how would you like to be remembered?
Okay.
It's a big one.
How does that relate to the previous person?
No, it's not. It's completely, it's a random
completely
final question.
And the answer can be anything.
Yes.
And I assume you edit this.
Unless there's a swear word in.
You don't have to answer the question, but it's an interesting one.
I think I'm proud of the fact that we broke the mold a number of years ago and found a way to develop new fruit varieties, and in some cases vegetable varieties. We introduced crops like seedless watermelons and vine-ripened tomatoes, and helped to popularize them in the United States and abroad, as well as having introduced the first proprietary table grapes to the world as well. And so that legacy is important to us as a company and to the rest of the Sunworld team. I'd like to to think that those introductions paved the way for a number of other breeders and supermarkets and growers to have a lot of success going forward in the future, and at the same time having broken the mold and finding a way to distribute those varieties in an efficient way and to create a seamless supply of them under common brands, I think brings a lot of new hope to an industry that tends to have a lot of ups and downs and volatility associated with it.
Fantastic answer. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
I think we're good. Thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome.
To us.
Enjoy the rest of your stay in South
Thank you.
Africa.
Appreciate it.
And we wish you the best of luck.